Shadow people. Scott saw a shadow figure, and then the lady in black came. One night, I was laying on my friend's bed while she brushed her teeth. I turned my head and noticed a black shadow walk past her door into the next room. I got up and said, "Are you done brushing your teeth yet?" thinking that it was her. I heard a voice say, "Not yet," but it was coming from the bathroom. I turned and walked into the room where the shadow had gone, and to my surprise, the shadow was standing in the corner, just looking at me like I had caught it doing something. Ever since then, I have been noticing strange images and noises. Like one other night, I stayed at the same friend's place. I was sleeping on the second bed that she had in her room. I woke up and noticed I had dropped my pillow, so I picked it up and fell back asleep. Then just hours later, I heard a voice say, "Tell her the truth." But I didn't quite understand what they were talking about, because I don't keep secrets from anyone. So I got up, but there was nothing anywhere. So I just turned over and dozed off, not falling fully asleep. Then I turned over to my other side and opened my eyes. To my horror, there was a lady all in black looking straight at me. I screamed as loud as I could and closed my eyes, and then opened them, but the shadow was gone. Ever since then, I have never spent a night there again. Scary shadow. Leonor saw a shadow girl close her bedroom door, and she'll never forget it. I've only had one concrete experience with a ghost, and it was one of the scariest moments in my life so far. I hope I'm not imposing, but I would like to share it. Ironically, it was on spring break vacation. I went to visit my aunt in Idaho and had brought along two friends of mine, Joyce and Jun. They did not experience what I did, but it was enough to freak them out just by telling them what I had seen. From what I know, Jun was hanging out in my aunt's living room with my cousin, who was staying the night with us, and Joyce was in their bedroom next to mine getting ready for bed. My aunt and mother had gone out for the evening. I do remember falling asleep briefly with the bedroom light still on, and suddenly it turned off. I woke immediately and yelled for Joyce, who came in at once. I asked her if she had turned it off, and she said she had, and that I had fallen asleep. I said it was fine and laid back down again, and she returned to the spare bedroom. I lay there for a few moments feeling uneasy, unable to go back to sleep, and for some reason, I suddenly looked to my right toward the door. The door was standing about 3/4 open, and someone was standing behind it. A girl, from what I could see clearly, with long hair and very thin arms and hands. The strange part was that she looked like a shadow. She blended right in with the shadow of the dresser next to the door. A skeptic saw shadow figures. She lifted her arms and felt the land's which was when I saw her hands, and brought them level with the door, and the door steadily shut, her hands never leaving them, as if she were making a point to lock me in. I sat straight up watching this. Unable to move, I was so afraid. I don't know how, but I managed to roll over back onto the bed, covered my head with the blankets, and thought, "God, please make it go away. Whatever it is, make it go away." Over and over, and when I got the guts to look up again, the girl was gone, but the door was still shut. Only perhaps an inch of room between the door and the latch in the frame. I sat up and shrieked for Joyce, and she came in yelling, "What now?" I asked if she had shut my door. She told me quite clearly that she had been getting ready for bed, and that no one had come up the hallway or near the bedroom door. They would have had to walk right past her to reach my room. I told her what I had seen, and all she said was, "Shut up, you're freaking me out," and ran from the room without another sound. I laid back down again and went back to sleep, cover still over my head. The next morning I told my cousin and Jun what I had seen. My cousin's reaction was identical to Joyce's. "Okay, shut up. You're kind of freaking me out." Then the two of them promptly took off from the room. Jun, however, stayed behind and talked with me about it, clearly freaked out but afraid to talk. After my experience, I told my aunt about it and asked if she had ever heard of her house being haunted or anything horrifying happening there. She told me that she didn't know of hauntings, but that the person who had lived there some time ago had a son and a daughter, and the son used to abuse his younger sister, hanging her out the windows in my bedroom by her feet, and such other horrible acts. I was purely shocked to hear this, but it seemed to make my experience even more concrete, not hallucination or dreaming. I knew she was not my imagination, because the door was still shut after she was gone. I haven't found any more information on the family. My aunt tried to find out, but it hit a wall. I'm disappointed, but not at all sorry that I experienced this, even if I was scared out of my mind. Shadow. Taylor saw a tall shadow figure at the window. Then it ran into the wall. I was at a friend's house, and we were taking a walk around her yard, which is huge, and we had nothing better to do. She was telling me about how she had a psychic person come to her house and say that she had 1 or 2 ghosts in her house. One is a little girl for sure. My friend has had numerous encounters with her, and she likes my friend's room, her closet the best. I told her before we left out the door how I had always hated her closet and the huge window right next to the front door. We were home alone, and my friend was right next to me when I saw it. I saw it not in the corner of my eye like always, but I was staring right at it. When I looked at the window I hate, I saw an all-black shape, like it was a shadow of a person. It was tall and staring at us. Then it very quickly ran straight into where the wall was. I said my friend's name, and she took one look at me and looked in the window. She knows that when I'm scared, I put both of my hands on my mouth, and I don't look away from the frightening sight. My hands were shaking, and she said she didn't see anything. After a while, we went back in the house, and only her pets were there. Her dog is too short to reach the window, and the shadow was walking like a normal person on 2 feet. The rest of the pets were cats, obviously too small for the window. This was so scary for me, because I have heard things, many things, but have never seen things. Little girl. A playful shadow girl appears, and now the lights, doors, and even pictures move on their own. I guess this all started last summer. On occasion, I would see a glimpse, or a shadow of something, or someone in the hallway, and I would just dismiss it as me just being tired. It started at nighttime. I would hear something and think my son was awake, fell out of the bed, or was walking down the hall. Seeing how I didn't get home from work until real late, I was always up. But every time I'd check it out, it wouldn't be anything, and he would be sound asleep. I just blew it off to me being tired. Then a few things started being out of place, but I just thought it was my mini-me. That's what I call our son, or Jim had moved things. So of course, I never said anything to anyone. Then, the shadows started appearing more often, and took a clearer form, if you will, of a little girl about the age of 3 or 4. Lights began being turned off and on by themselves. Last month, I even called the power company out, thinking maybe we were having power surges or something, but they found nothing wrong. Actually, I called them out twice, and they said the same thing both times. There's nothing wrong. Things were moved. Pictures turned the wrong way. I know exactly how I keep everything in my home. Then this morning, I woke up to the noise of the door to the laundry room being shut and opened, over and over. At first, I dismissed it as mini-me being up and about. But then I remembered he's in Louisiana, and I'm home alone. I thought, oh crap, and jumped out of bed, and the laundry room door was shut. Chills ran down my spine. The doors were locked. The light was on over the stove in my kitchen, and one lamp in the living room was turned on. Again, I dismissed it and went on to the bathroom for morning rituals. And when I returned, the lights were off. The light in my bathroom went off and on 3 times this evening while I was in there. Again, I was home alone and freaking out at this point. I seriously don't think I'm crazy, but then again, most psychologically challenged people say they are sane. I swear I'm not insane, and I'm not on drugs. Well, not illegal ones anyway. I've always believed in ghosts or spirits, but I've only had one other encounter about 10 years ago, with that of a little girl as well. Is it possible for ghosts and spirits to attach themselves to you, somehow, and follow you from one state to another? I don't feel threatened in any way. The happenings, it seems, are that of a child playing. It's weird. Has anyone else had anything like this happen? If so, please share. Update. Night before last, we were eating dinner, when all of a sudden a picture on the wall in the dining room just fell and scared the hell out of all 3 of us. I got up to inspect, and the nail was still in the wall, with no damage at all to the picture or its hanger. Weird, huh? Wait, there's more. Yesterday morning, after 2 steps left for work, I was sitting there in bed, had just turned the TV on when one of his caps flew. Yes, flew off the wall. It freaked me out. It didn't just fall. It landed like 3 feet away from the wall. Okay, I'm thinking, no biggie. It just fell. Again, no explanation. So I put it back in its place. I blew it off and again went on with morning rituals, and the light switched off in our bathroom. Okay, this crap is not funny now. About 30 minutes later, Mini-Me was up, and neither one of us felt good. He was in my bathroom flossing, and we were talking when I heard something from within the bedroom. It was the same cap that had earlier flown off the wall and onto the floor again. How did I hear this in our bathroom? Over the television, over our conversation, more of a yelling match, trying to persuade him into flossing, and with our floor being carpeted. I dunno, but it freaked me out. I made Mini-Me hang the cap back up that time, and didn't say anything about what had happened earlier to me. Now, last night we, 2 steps, Mini-Me and myself, were all piled up in the living room, engrossed in the tube. I thought I saw something out of the corner of my eye. Not once, but twice. It wasn't the same little girl I have been seeing for quite some time, but she was about 10 or 11 years old. Update. Well, things are still happening on a regular basis. Quite a bit this week. Okay, we went into town earlier. Before we left, I was back in Mini-Me's end of the house, telling him to get ready and whatnot. To make a long story even longer, we left and returned home about an hour or so ago to find his bathroom door locked from the inside. We had to take the door knob off to get in. What you guys don't get is that we are not a modest family and bathroom doors are never closed. That was freaky. Even Mini-Me thought it was. Half Shadow Man. Visitor sees the lower half of a shadowy figure near a grave, twice only in their peripheral vision. I recently visited a cemetery in El Cajon, California. I didn't get anything from my camera, but rather, from the corner of my eye, I saw something twice. Walking around a very big tree, looking and walking straight, I saw in my right peripheral vision the pitch black bottom half of a man walking in the opposite direction of me. It was actually the image of him, not in motion. Of course, then looking that way, it vanished. So curiously, I swung around and tried to follow the thing. As I was taking more pictures, once again, in my peripheral vision, I saw the same dark mass kneel down over a grave's ground plaque for the same amount of time. 1 second. All this was happening in a higher vibed, energized area of the whole graveyard. Everywhere else felt otherwise normal to me. Not all visitors from the other side come to scare. Like this video if you believe. Subscribe for more true stories. And tell us your experience in the comments.